my computer, it says we're at 6:29, 6:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dave Osborne. Joining us on the call also is Steve McKinley from the State 4-H office. I'm in Ripley County, County Extension Director, 4-H and Youth Educator, Ag and Natural Resource Educator, and New Shooting Sports State Coordinator. So I'm in charge of kind of the competition end and that side of the shooting sports. Steve's still helping us with some of the administrative stuff on campus at this point. And Tim Beck is kind of the head of the education committee that does all the training and that for us in the 4-H shooting sports program. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. So can everybody see that? Is it up? Okay. So this is kind of an overview. We're going to go through about 25 minutes, 30 minutes is all this should take as an overview. Then we're going to open it up for questions. I'll share with you a Qualtrics link that will allow you to fill out a Qualtrics survey to sign up to help us with the state shoots. And I'll also share my email. And if some of you are having trouble with the Qualtrics link, if you email me your name, address, phone number, email address, discipline you'd like to help with, then I can also take information that way. What will happen is all of you that fill out and sign up to help us on the state competition committee in one of the disciplines, the first of next week, I will send out an email to all of you for the drafts of our documents that are going to guide our state shoots. There's two of them. There's one of them that's a general rules, general outline of the state shoot, and then there's a discipline specific policy, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So, some of you, if you're like me, my first shooting sports, I was a coordinator in hunting and wildlife and shotgun, and I got those in 94, 95, and 96. So that's been a few years ago. So I kind of wanted to go over just a little bit, an overview of 4-H. Real quickly, it's not going to take very long, but I wanted to go over that. And then we'll go over kind of what the shoot's going to look like, what we hope it looks like, and what it does for us. So the Indiana 4-H mission is to provide educational opportunities that develop young people with positive impact in their communities. So we're taking that's our mission. Our vision is that Indiana 4-H development strives to be the premier community-based program empowering young people to reach their full potential. So that's our mission and vision. That's kind of why we're here. That's why you're here. Your leaders, volunteers, educators that serve in that role for Indiana 4-H. There's three mission areas in 4-H. There's science, healthy living, and civic engagement and leadership. And the shooting sports program falls under the category healthy living. So if you go to the website and you're looking for some of the stuff on shooting sports, you'll go to the healthy living side of things. So are you drawing? Somebody found out how to draw on my PowerPoint. That's interesting. So 4-H youth development, the strategy is what we're wanting to do is to make sure that we are expanding our programming to reflect our demographics. Look for the needs that we have in our communities, look for social conditions, and make sure that our 4-H programs are meeting those needs. We want to expand our volunteer recruitment strategies to recruit more diverse volunteers and provide volunteers meaningful opportunities for training and for involvement in the 4-H program. And we want to work to develop skills in young people that will guide them to career interests and help them to be college ready. So that all being said, one of the reasons that from the very get-go I wanted to have shooting sports competitions is number one, it was very selfish because I came from a background that I didn't shoot a lot of competition until I got to Purdue. And then I shot on the Purdue trap and skeet team and absolutely loved the camaraderie I had over the years of being at Purdue and shooting on those teams with those folks. When we got out to shooting sports, I knew that other states had those competitions and the same way to build friendships and relationships in that shooting sports arena, but we didn't have that. And so I've been wanting to do it all along. Every time we got new leadership, I brought it up. I was told to be quiet several times that this wasn't going to happen. And Casey Mall, our new director, coming from Georgia, having a military background, I reached out to him. He said, let me think about it for a couple of weeks. I can't believe we don't have it, but let me think about it. So he came back and said, well, Dave, if we're going to make this happen, why don't you just take over the coordinator position and make it happen? Which at first I thought that'd be a really neat job if that's going to be my job. He said, oh, no, you stay in accounting and do 4-H and ag and that stuff, but you do this too. And I've been one that if I'm willing to say, hey, let's do this, I've had to be willing to jump in and try to make this happen. So what I want to do is, the reason we're doing this tonight is I want to recruit my state team to help with the competition side of things. We already have a very good state team that's doing the training of volunteers and doing that. They're not expected to wear this competition hat. They're more than welcome. If they want to come and help us with those disciplines, we'll welcome them with open arms, but that's not expected. They already give 2 weekends of their time, plus all the prep time it takes to get ready for the training workshops. And so we're expected to develop our own competition group of folks. Kind of give you a little bit of a background in 4-H a little bit further. We try to use the experiential model when we teach and when we do these activities, whether it's hogs or horse and pony or baking or sewing or shooting sports. We want individuals or youth to experience. We want them to share what they've experienced. We want them to process that. We want them to generalize and we want them to apply. And in shooting sports, a lot of times I think, a lot of those things, the way we can apply those in most of our other projects is we do exhibits, we do projects, we have competitions, we have CDEs, we go to the state fair, we go to the county fair, but in shooting sports, we never really had that apply part. So hopefully this will give us that apply part. My son was in shooting sports for about 4 or 5 years, and then he got kind of bored with it. And I think if he would have had some teams with his buddies to look forward to, maybe he would have stayed all 10 years in shooting sports. And that's why I like the swine barn. He had all his buddies in the swine barn. So we're a non-formal learning setting. Volunteers make the program go. Without volunteers, we would not have a 4-H program. We try to do family learning, so the whole family gets involved. We are tied to Purdue University. So Purdue University is our land grant university. 4-H is tied across the country to their universities and land grant universities. We try lots of different delivery methods, and shooting sports has several different delivery methods. And the bottom line is we want positive youth development. That's what we're after. We want kids, essential elements of 4-H is belonging. We want kids to feel that they belong. We want them to feel included in the program, and we want them to feel safe and have a safe environment. We want to have independence. We want them to kind of pick and choose what they want to learn. It's not like going to school and getting a syllabus. This is what we're teaching you. We want them to get to pick what they want to learn. We want to have them engaged in learning and have them have an opportunity to get better at what they're doing or the mastery. And then generosity. We want the opportunity for them to value and practice service to others. So we hope that our 4-H shooting sports programs are having our older shooting sports members doing that generosity, helping younger kids learn and be in service to others. So quickly on the policies, we want to have a variety of options. We want kids to enroll in 4-H. We want to verify that they're enrolled in the project and they participated in some aspect of that project. And then we want them to finish a record sheet. If they do those things, they've completed a 4-H year. Now, what's not in there? What's not in one of those 4 things? The exhibition. A lot of times we want to tell kids you have to exhibit something at the fair to complete in 4-H, and exhibition is voluntary. So it's not required. It's not part of completion. And they can complete without bringing things to the fair. Hopefully this state shoot, local shoots, county shoots will give 4-Hers another thing that they can do if they're not really big on doing exhibition or posters or projects and things like that at the fair. And the project focus should really always be about education and that those kids are learning something. The shooting sports meetings, let's talk real quickly about the meetings. They should be fun and educational. They should provide youth with leadership roles. Some of those older kids hopefully are taking on responsibilities to help teach the younger 4-Hers. Hopefully as leaders, we're encouraging that and we're empowering those kids to take that leadership role and understand that they're not just coming for their own thing, they're coming there to be teachers, to be mentors. You take that junior and senior in high school and that 3rd and 4th grader, all 3rd and 4th graders are going to look up to that senior in high school. It's just how the world works. They're way cooler than any of us leaders ever thought about being. So we need them in a leadership role. We want to include year-round activities and opportunities. And I know some shooting sports clubs meet year-round. Others meet in April, May, and June. We're not telling you have to meet year-round, but there's a move in Indiana 4-H across the board for educators, clubs, and volunteers and leaders to have more of a year-round presence and a year-round activity, not just the summer fair, but more year-round activities. We need to make sure we're reviewing safety, because the big thing about shooting sports is we want kids to learn how to do these activities safely. So we can review those at their meetings, at the range meetings, when they're shooting each meeting. We are the only discipline or the only project that can actually require a safety meeting. We can require one safety meeting. That meeting agenda needs to be approved and followed and on file with the coordinator and the 4-H educator, and you can offer it on multiple dates. Here is a note, and I actually went to a couple counties. I've talked with counties over the last couple months, and there's still counties out there that are telling kids that one thing they have to do is they have to go to Hunter Ed. And I put a note in here, and we note this at the coordinator training every year. But for some of you that have been around since the 90s, mid-90s, like I have, Hunter Education back then, we had them go to Hunter Education, and there wasn't a question whether they needed to. That's just one thing we used. Well, today we cannot require it. We can recommend it. So just so you know that you really can't say, well, we do the Hunter Ed and that's our safety meeting. But that safety meeting really can't have a 10-hour agenda. That safety meeting should last an hour to 90 minutes, but Hunter Ed can be recommended but not required. And I've had a lot of questions over that in the last 6 weeks to 2 months. So are there any questions that come in on chat? Okay, if you have any questions as we go, just type them in and Miles will let me know. So the shoots this year to kick this thing off, and this is not set in stone. There are states that are surrounding us that do fall shoots, or some of them that do spring shoots. We're going to let the committee see how this works this year. Next year, it may be a fall shoot. We'll just see how this all works out. But on May 14th and 15th at Friendship, Indiana, at the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association, we're going to have all the disciplines except the shotgun disciplines. We're going to have archery, rifle, pistol, air pistol, muzzleloader, And those are what we're going to offer. They've got about a mile worth of under roof shooting line, and we'll have those disciplines just up and down that shooting line, where all those disciplines are participating at the same time. And then the following weekend, May 21st and 22nd, we've got the Indiana Gun Club in Fishers for trap, skeet, and sporting clays. Okay, and so we've got 2 days slated for these, but our hopes are based on our numbers. Well, actually, my hopes are that I have to use both days, because I hope we have so many people wanting to do this that we have to use 2 days because we just can't get them done. But if our numbers are manageable, we'll run these on those Saturdays, so people won't have hotel bills or things like that, have to stay for the second day. But we'll know that when we get our numbers. We should have the registration open early in March, hopefully about a month from today. And then they'll have a month to 5 weeks to sign up. And then we'll look at our numbers and we'll make more of an announcement of whether we're 1 day at Friendship or 2. And we'll let people know a little bit more about what's going on there. So this slide kind of shows you what these disciplines do at the Nationals. Each discipline at the National is 3 events, and the overall team score is based on the culmination of those 3 event scores. These events are draft. They're not set in stone. They may be based on what we have as far as target availability and things like that. So archery may be kind of the NAS program, the same kind of targets. We may be shooting with our compounds and our recurves. We may be shooting a full round of that and a full round of 3D, and it may be 2 events. So we'll know more about that when we start assigning the committees, and the committees have some input. But so you see air pistol, air rifle, muzzleloader, shotgun, small bore pistol, and small bore rifle. Now this table. When you sign up with the Qualtrics survey or send me your email or send me your information by email, I'm going to send you the 2 documents that are draft forms for the shoots. And the reason I'm going to send those to you is I want your feedback on those. I want you to read through those. I want you to give me some feedback. I want to find out how many archery volunteers we have. I'll have a Zoom meeting with those archery leaders. We'll go through the archery discipline.
Yikes.
We'll edit those, and then so by the time we get into March, we should be able to have, this is what the state shoot's really going to look like. So did I have a question out there? Okay. So here's kind of the change that we basically got approved in early November, middle of November, that county 4-H shooting sports programs can conduct competitive shoots beginning in 2022. And we'll see some things here that you're going to have to do to be able to do those shoots, but there are things you should do when you're shooting with 4-Hers anyway. The other part of that is a public shooter exhibition for youth in grades 3 through 12 who are not enrolled in 4-H, Indiana 4-H Youth Development Program, is allowable as an officially recognized 4-H Purdue University activity. And that wording is important because that wording means you're covered as a 4-H volunteer to do this, as long as these things are met now. And we'll go over these conditions as we go forward. So not only can you have a shoot for your county, or 3 or 4 counties want to go together and have an invitational shoot in shotgun, rifle, archery, whatever it might be, but you can also use this as a recruiting thing and have a public shoot where kids can sign some forms when their parents sign the forms and they're there with them, and they can shoot and experience this shooting sports activity. And then hopefully they decide, hey, I want to enroll in 4-H.
Do you have a comment from Randy saying the first shoot weekend of the National NASP tournament?
Yeah, know we have some conflicting dates with with the NASP program, with the national shoot. The only thing I'll share with you about that date and that national shoot is, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. Not everybody qualifies to go on to the national, and we have to get these in. And you got proms and you got graduations, and basically the week after our shotgun is when all the national registrations are due. So we kind of pushed it back as far as we could. I know it may make some conflicts. Not a lot we can do with some of those. So basically, if you want to have a shoot, you want to have competition, you need an approved range plan that must be on file with Purdue University. This has to happen in every county and every range that we use for 4-H activities, irregardless of whether it's a public shoot or not. And then we need to make sure that we have a description of how the public is going to be kept a safe distance. See your educator, you should submit that plan to them, and then the educator will submit that to the state shooting sports coordinator for review. And Tim Beck and some of his folks are the ones that review those plans. And so make sure if you're going to do a shoot, something like that, you know, give them 3 to 4 weeks at least before a shoot to get those reviewed. All the folks that do these plans and all that are volunteers. This isn't their job to do that, so they're doing it on their own time. So we need to give them plenty of time to do that.
Do the question from Scott Rice. Can we set up steel challenge pistol and rifle play?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. You would need to have, you need to make a determination. Is it going to be pistol and rifle? Okay. So if you're going to have a steel challenge pistol and rifle, and that's your competition, look at this next thing. You got to have at least 2 adult 4-H shooting sports instructors certified in the discipline being offered must be present before the first youth arrives and after the last one leaves. So if you're going to have a steel challenge where they're shooting both the rifle and the pistol, you need to have pistol and rifle instructors there to conduct that activity. If you only have a couple pistol instructors there, you can only offer pistol.
Will all counties have started meeting by mid-May?
Well, I hope with county fairs coming in June and July that we have our shooting sports programs up and running well before May. This is our first year. You know, my hope is that you know, not every county is probably going to be able to put a team together you know, with a notice like we have. We've been sharing some of that, but hopefully over the following year, I think the second year is going to be our big year because people can work up to that. So you don't necessarily have to have things up and running to actually have kids practicing trap and skeet and decide to come to the state shoot. Matter of fact, if a kid comes to the state shoot, they can actually come from a county that does not have an active shooting sports program. As long as they're signed up for 4-H and they sign up they sign up on the event site in 4-H online, their parent can quote unquote be their leader and bring them to the state shoot. So we've had questions over the last couple of months. What if I don't have a program in my county? Can I have kids from my county shoot at the state shoot? The answer is yes, following some of these guidelines we're going to share right here. And what that hopefully does is that has that parent or those couple parents that acted as their leader, because they are the parents that signed them up, they come to the next training in shooting sports and they get a shooting sports program started in their county. And that's how this not only can recruit youth to 4-H, but it can recruit adults to the volunteering side. So that's why we really kind of pushed for this open policy with these guidelines. As of now, only youth in grades 3 through 12 can participate. So these opportunities in these shoots are not open shoots where mom and dad and grandma and grandpa can do the steel challenge with their youth. These really need to be youth only shoots. So if you're going to have adults or others at an open still challenge, you need to segregate when the 4-H event's going to be, complete that event before you go on and let adults shoot. And then when adults are shooting, if you're there helping with that activity, that is not a 4-H event, and you're not covered as a leader, as a 4-H leader when you're doing something with adults or kids out of this age range. So if you've got questions about that, feel free to reach out to me, give me a phone call, send me an email. I can talk to you further about that. But as of now, our open shoots can only be those kids that are 4-H age, 3 through 12th grade. We're working on the adult thing and things like that, but that's something that may be down the road, but it's not permissible right now. A parent or guardian for each non-4-H participant must have signed a Purdue 4-H Youth Development Liability Release. That's in the new handbook. That handbook's on the website, the 4-H website, under the Healthy Living tab, under the Shooting Sports tab. Before the youth may participate, all standard 4-H shooting sports safety procedures and basic range safety rules must be followed. And that would be a good chance for a volunteer leader, for a shooting sports leader to instruct that youth on those range rules. Doesn't have to be an hour meeting, but give them the basic safety guidelines before they ever step up to that firing line. And then for that shoot, where you may allow public to be involved, since those individuals, that public may not be enrolled in 4-H, so therefore they're not covered under the policy, American Income Life policy that 4-H members have. You have to take out a special activities policy. And most of the time that special activities policy is about 35 cents a kid, $8 minimum. And so what you do is you fill out the policy, you count the number of kids that came through that weren't 4-Hers, and you pay after the procedure. And if you had 10 kids, you pay the $8. So it's cheapest insurance you'll ever buy, but you really need to have that. So as long as you're doing 4-H activities, you don't have to take this policy out because 4-Hers are already covered. And all you volunteers and certified volunteers working in their capacity as 4-H volunteers and 4-H members grades 3 through 12 are covered. That's why we have the stipulations grades 3 through 12 and that you're 4-H volunteers. So again, here's the website. If you go to projects under Healthy Living and then shooting sports, this will come up, and the new handbook, the revisions in the handbook, the language about the shoots, the forms, all that stuff is in that handbook and available at this website. Okay, so what do we need from you? We need volunteers to serve on state committees in each discipline to help conduct and provide direction for the Indiana shooting state shoots. So when you send me your information that you're willing to help, we're going to send you some information to review. We're going to have some meetings for input on those regulations and to tweak those so that hopefully by a month from now, we have a working document that we can send out, some flyers we can send out so people know what the state shoot's going to look like. We need 7 individuals across the state that will serve as what we're going to call, and the national calls them this, chief range officers, and they're the discipline committee chairs. So you will chair, the chief range officer for archery will chair the state archery committee, and they will be in charge of the archery discipline at the state shoot. And they're called chief range officers. That's what the national calls them. So we'll call them the same thing. And we're needing those for each discipline. So that's what we need from volunteers. The other thing in here is on these committees, if you've got young people, especially those high schoolers that are in 4-H shooting sports, I would love to have 2 or 3 of these state committee members also be youth. I think we really need 4-H youth from the very onset of building this program. We need their input, because we as adults may sit at a table and think this is important, this is important, this is important. And that sophomore in high school says, oh, we just want to shoot and have fun. you guys are missing the point. So they bring a whole different aspect, a whole different look. And this is a youth program. And so we really need youth in there. So if you shooting sports instructors have those youth that are good in that discipline, are willing to speak up and not afraid to speak their mind to adults and be heard, we need 4-H youth across this state to be part of these committees too. And the last part of this is educators. We really need some educators to step up. If we have an educator who would step up to help administrate each discipline, that would be wonderful. If I could have an educator in each discipline, that would help immensely. But I really need educators to come and help administer the shoot with tabulation and volunteer management and things like that. So Miles is going to put in the chat this connection, this Qualtrics connection. And all you have to do is click on it and it'll bring up a Qualtrics and you can fill that out. So if you actually highlight that in the chat and hit copy and go to your computer, your page, your home page, and just click paste, it'll paste that on your home page and you'll have that. And if you're not good with that or it doesn't work for you, simply send me an email, osborneda@purdue.edu, and I'll send you this link, or just send me your name, address, phone number, email address, and what discipline you want to help with, and I'll send you this information.
Okay, we got 2 questions.
Okay.
One, how many kids per team?
All right. So that's in the information we're sending out, but the way teams will work and the way the state will work, I'll go over that a little bit. Teams are 4 people. Okay. We're not going to be real tied down early on in this, that we have a junior team and a senior team. There are 4 4-H'ers. So it's perfectly okay in a discipline to bring a 3rd grader, a 7th grader, a junior and a senior in high school. Now, if you're the winning team, that team makeup like that will not be eligible to go into the national, because the national says you have to be 14 years old to participate at the national. So you may be the state winner, but since you're not a senior team made up of 14 and over, you're not going to get to go to the national because those younger kids are not eligible. But at the state shoot, we're not going to tell a county you can't build a team of 4-H'ers however you want. We will have junior divisions and senior divisions if you have enough kids, but some disciplines you may have to mix and match and bring what you can bring. So 4 members per team, and we're not going to limit a county to how many teams they can bring.
It's not the same team per discipline.
No, at the state shoot, since everything's running simultaneously, especially on the first day except shotgun, what our thoughts are this first year, you can bring a team to participate in a discipline, because these disciplines are going to be running right on top of each other. And so it'd be almost impossible for a 4-H'er to participate in 2 different disciplines. So they're going to have to pick one of those disciplines on that first weekend. What if several of us, and I've got some people that have already stepped forward that have been helping me through this process. Bill Jordan's been immensely helpful here in Ripley County. Several of the other folks, Brian at Friendship has been great helping us there. But this first year, if you've got kids that want to shoot rifle at the first weekend and they want to come back and shoot shotgun the second weekend, this first year we're going to let them come on that second weekend, because that discipline doesn't run in top. We want to be as inclusive as we can. We want people to get positive experiences from the state shoot. So 1 discipline on the first weekend, you'll have to pick that. And then if they want to come back and shoot shotgun the next weekend, they're more than welcome to do that.
So with trap and skeet, Nathan says, I thought you had to be square with the team in order to compete. I understand you can compete as an individual. Is that the direction the state shotgun shoot is going?
Right. So for the state shotgun shoot, if you want to compete as a team, you can bring 3 or 4 members. A team score will be made up of the high 3 scores on the team. Okay. If you're a county and you don't have 3 kids that want to shoot together, you can definitely sign up individuals. There's no restriction to having individuals come. The individual would compete for individual accolades and awards, but we are only sending teams to the national. The national limits every state into one 4-person team, one 4-person senior team per discipline. And once you've gone in that discipline at the national level, you cannot go back in that discipline to the national. Now, we're probably not going to limit those kids coming back and participating at the state again. If we get 3 or 4 freshmen in high school win the state shotgun, my hopes are they come back and they win it 2 or 3 years in a row and make somebody beat them. So we're gonna let them come back to the state over and over in a discipline, but they would only get to go to that national shotgun one time, and then they could go to the national again in a different discipline, but they couldn't go back in shotgun. And that's a national rule, not a state rule.
Jeremy asks, will the state be assembling a state team to send to the national?
The very first thing that Casey said, and I agreed 100% with him, is Indiana's not sending all-star teams. So when the team you go to the state shoot with and win the state with is the team you go to the national with. And is that going to make us competitive for the overall teams? I don't know what that team might look like. We could be, but Texas has 1,000 shooters and they take their top 4 shooters. So they're going to be pretty tough to beat. Other states do the same thing, but Casey said from the get-go, we are not going to assemble all-star teams in Indiana and send them to the national. We're going to have teams that come shoot at the state shoot, go as a team and a coach to the national. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll send one 4-person team on to the national, but individuals can compete from the county, and we'll give top 5 team awards. And right now it looks like top 5 individual awards. Individuals may be moved to top 8, top 10. That's still kind of up for discussion. But yes, you can sign up individuals.
Scott asks, can you set Saturday for one discipline and Sunday as a second discipline for the first weekend? It might give more kids a chance to qualify.
I know it would give possibly more kids to qualify, but right now the way things are set up and how we build these teams and how we learn how to do this, I think we're just going to have to stick with one discipline that first weekend. And we may find out that we're able to do some of that stuff in scheduling, but the first time we've ever scheduled 6 disciplines to run at the same time simultaneously with brand new people that have never done this before, we really figured that we needed to just have them pick a discipline. And then we have the shotgun that they can bring anybody back, so that could be a second discipline. The other side of this thing is, folks, we're not limited to only doing these state shoots. If some 4-H club that meets at a really nice gun club wants to hold several of these disciplines 2 weeks before this state shoot, hey, send me a message you want to do this. I'll come help if I'm available. We can have other opportunities around the state that's not limited to just the state shoot. So hopefully we'll get some counties that have invitationals and some open shoots and prep shoots to give these 4-Hers and these teams some practice and some other opportunities.
Somebody asks for shotgun, will the shotgun team be able to shoot in all?
Yes. The way this is set up, I'm chewing my ice real quick, is that when you come to the shotgun shoot, you will shoot all 3 disciplines. And your score, your team score, will be the total targets broke in all 3 disciplines. Right now, we're looking at shooting 100 trap, 50 skeet, and 50 sporting clays. That may change to 75 each. We don't know. That's kind of up in the air right now. But they will come and they will shoot all 3 disciplines. So for them to sign up for shotgun, they'll shoot trap, skeet, and sporting clays, and then they add up those scores. Okay, let's see if this works without ads and all that stuff.
They cannot see, they're still on your,
Okay. Is this not coming through?
now. Click that one. Not that chair. I don't think they can hear your audio.
Is it not coming through? If you didn't hear that, go to that movie trailer and watch it. Basically, what Ashton Kutcher said is Tom Selleck said that he was an Eagle Scout and in the Marines. And when he shot that target after it got way out there, he said he was in 4-8. So pull that up and watch it sometime or play it for your kids. And that was the one part of technology that even at our coordinator training, we had a little trouble with. So any other questions?
There was two that popped up. Gordon PC says, remind everyone that each discipline will require shooting in 3 different events. We will also have steel challenge style event open to all.
Right. So at the state shoot, we'll have the 6 disciplines at Friendship, and we've got a group that's interested in basically exposing our young people to the steel challenge. And so what we hope to do is have some sponsors of the steel challenge. It may be a small fee for ammunition, but you can go over and participate while you're on a break. Well, we've got some downtime in the steel challenge, and we've got some sponsors that are willing to give some prizes to the top individuals in the steel challenge, just to kind of get youth looking at the steel challenge. There's been discussion at the national, are they going to have a national steel challenge event? They have not said they're going to do that yet, but this steel challenge is probably one of the fastest growing shooting sports areas or disciplines that's going. And again, that's usually shot with rifle and pistol both. So we do have a group that's going to set that up at the state shoot, and you should be able to go down and enjoy participating in that in some of your downtime. So
Kevin DeFawcett says, with shotgun, the kids need to bring their own guns and shells.
yes, yeah, at all these events, you need the 4-H youth need to bring their own equipment. At each event, we'll have an equipment check-in spot. So when you come in and register your team, you'll bring your equipment, your bows, your arrows, your pistols, your rifles, all firearms, pistols, rifles, air pistols need to come cased. They need to have chamber empty indicators in them. All arrows need to be in quivers. So, and those guidelines are what I'll send everybody. When you sign up, you'll get the guidelines of how that stuff comes in, how we register, how we sign people in. And we've really based it on the national and how we do the national. There will be some shells available. We've got some Jim Dunn from the Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation has said that he would make sure there was shotgun shells available at the Indiana Gun Club, and they usually have some available there at a reasonable price for what the market is at the time. So if your 4-H team needs some ammunition, if you need some ammunition in 22s, things like that for practice and competition, let us know that, because we may have some resources for you as coaches and shooting sports volunteers and leaders to reach out and get some access to ammunition that has basically been given, and it won't be free, but it's been given so that we have resources for these kids to have ammunition and stuff for these shoots. So we have some sponsors, some different organizations that have flats of ammunition that's going to be made available. So if you're having a hard time finding ammunition, we'll find you ammunition for your 4-H'ers.
No other questions.
So any other questions? If you weren't comfortable with chat, you can unmute and ask. Casey, I see you're on here. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just unmuting, not to ask a question, but I just wanted to publicly thank you, Dave, for your leadership in this. I'm excited about this opportunity for our youth, and I just know that there's a lot of work that you've put into this plan, as well as some other volunteers and educators. So, want to thank you and all of them for your work.
Kevin DeFossil asks roughly how many shells do each 4-H?
Okay, so if you were bringing a team to the shotgun right now, competitively, you would shoot 200 rounds. So probably each individual would probably need what we used to call a half a case or a flat, which is 250. Sometimes they have to make second shots. A bird breaks, a bird's called a no bird or something in sporting clay, so you need a few extra rounds there. So I would say tentatively you're looking at 10 boxes of shells. We do have a grant out right now, and I haven't heard the final on the grant, but we did actually put in that grant to pay for all the clay targets so that we can keep registrations low. Now, registration, we have not set the fees yet. We'll still have to look at the fees and the fee schedule. But what we're wanting to be able to do with those registrations is help those national teams pay their national registration and help them out. I don't know if we'll be able to pay 100% of the registrations, but I will share something with you to share with some other leaders and volunteers and parents. If you go to the national and say you take your son or your daughter, or your son and your daughter, and you and your wife go to the national, if you and your wife sign up to volunteer to help be scorers, run errands, be pullers, be target checkers, all that, you and your wife will get a hotel room and your meals provided for being those volunteers. And guess what? Your youth could stay with you. So I actually went and had some funds available, but I volunteered along with Bill Jordan, and our wives went and they volunteered too. And basically, once we got out there, they covered everything we needed. So there are some opportunities for some cost savings if parents and things like that are willing to volunteer. And that brings up a point. One of the things I'll share with you is we're going to need all teams that come to at least have a volunteer come with you to help us. That's the only way we're going to make this work is with volunteers. So whether the coach or one of the parents or somebody helps us as a scorer, a puller, a tabulator, or run the water around so the kids don't die of thirst, those kind of simple jobs, there's going to be a lot of those, and we're just going to need a volunteer for each team. The way you'll sign up for these events will be on 4-H Online. Hopefully that will go active about the third week of March. And our deadline will be the third week of April to get signed up. And there will be a cost. And this state committee we're putting together, we're going to look at what the cost is, for paying the ranges where we're visiting, and how we can raise a little bit of funds to help these national teams with some of the registration. Your national registration this year per individual for the 3 days of competition is $225 a 4-H. State shoot's not going to be anywhere near that, but that's what the national per person registration is. I was on a call this past week, and that was set this last week. So, any other questions? Don't see any in the chat. Anybody need to unmute and ask a question or?
I'm guessing for the bows, they're going to be using the Genesis, or are we going to allow
No,
hunting
no,
bows?
no. Yeah, this isn't the NAS. This is those kids that are in the NAS program that want to go home and bring their bows and shoot their compounds. We are only going to have one discipline in archery as it stands right now. The National actually has a compound division and a recurve division. But in the state of Indiana, what we're going to do is we're going to shoot compound style. But if someone really has a desire to shoot a recurve, we're going to let them shoot a recurve. And if they're really good at recurve and they decide they're senior and they want to go to the national, they could sign up as an individual at the national. But basically, it's going to be an archery event with 2 or 3 events, and they're going to shoot their own bows. They can bring their Genesis, but they're not going to be very competitive with those that are bringing bows with their own arrows and sights and releases and all, and stabilizers and all that. So this would be a kind of a chance for those NAS kids to go home and get their bows that their compounds and come shooting 4-H with their own equipment.
Kevin asks if a team shoots gun at state but doesn't want to go to national.
Yeah, there is no requirement to go to nationals. So if a senior team comes and they win the state and they say we're really not interested in going out to Nebraska, the first thing I'd ask them is why not? Because it is one of the best 4-H events I've ever been to. I went last year, like I said, but no, they do not have to go. What we would do is we go to the second place team and offer that. And we would go to 1 or 2 teams down the row. And if nobody decides they want to go to the national, we just won't have a team go to the national in that event. We do not have to fill a roster or anything like that. If we take 3 teams, we take 3 teams. If we take 7 teams, we take 7 teams. The way it looks now, teams will get to the national on their own with their coach, because you're going to have a coach team. That's who's going to win. And I will be the coordinator for the Indiana State, and I'll get your registrations in, and I'll meet you with all your papers, and I'll take care of the logistics side of things at the nationals. And that'll kind of help the coaches not have to do that. So I'll be out there again, and I'll help coordinate the administrative part of getting you in the nationals, but you'll get your team out there with parents, other volunteer leaders, however you guys decide to do that. You'll get your young people out there on your own this year.
Send the address of the Rangers so you can start preparing for stage. What I hope to do is once I get feedback from the committee on these documents, I hope to have a flyer actually put together and some stuff on the 4-H Shooting Sports website that has the range addresses. Right now, if you put in Fishers, Indiana, you're within just a couple miles of Indiana Gun Club. Indiana Gun Club has a website, and National Muzzleloading Rifle Association has a website. So if you pull up those websites, but when we put the flyers and information out there, all those will have the addresses. Lisa asks, what are the requirements and limitations for rifles?
Okay, shotguns are generally 12 or 20 gauge. You're going to shoot doubles, so you're going to need some type of a semi-automatic, a pump, or an over and under, because you're going to need to shoot more than one shot in shotgun. Rifles are going to be the sporter rifles, and there's some stuff in there. They're going to have to be the non-optical sights. There's no scopes allowed, and some of that is spelled out in some references that we'll have to look at what the information is. But the rifles are going to be 22. Small caliber is going to be rimfire 22 rifles, 22 pistols. Air rifles and air pistols are going to be allowed in there, and most of the time those are all in that 22 caliber. So muzzleloaders tend to be 50 caliber muzzleloaders, but some of them are shooting 45s. the information I send you for each discipline kind of spells some of that out too. What is it?
I would assume you said I would recommend just doing 12 gauge maybe out in hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to limit those junior kids that think the 12 gauge thumps them a little hard. If they can find their ammunition and bring them, we're going to let them shoot them. If anybody's shot much trap and skeet, you know you're kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball anytime you start going down the gauge trail. But most competitive shooting teams that were at the national with seniors were all shooting 12 gauge. We're not going to put a limit on that. That's up to the coach and the kids. Any other thoughts, questions? Now, here's one neat thing. I'll kind of close with this. If you know some people that are interested in shooting shotgun and you may not have a shotgun discipline in your county and you're wondering, well, how do I make this happen? The first weekend of April is the state volunteer leader training. You get 1 or 2 people to go to the state volunteer leader training and shotgun discipline. You become certified shotgun instructors in shooting sports and a certified 4-H volunteer in your county, and you make it happen. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to hold this now, is because within the next week, that website for signing up for that training is going to go active and be active for a couple of weeks. So everybody on the call and everybody you talk to has an opportunity to go get this done in the next couple of weeks and make this happen by May. So
Kevin asks, do you know what time the shotgun people start?
probably looking at registration 8 to 9-ish, 8 to 9:30, and we'll shoot either we'll know that by then whether it's a 1 day or 2 day. It may run till 5:36, 6:30 based on numbers. So if we get much beyond that, looking at our schedule, that's what'll kick us into that second day.
You might want to, Steve made a comment about remembering to enroll as a volunteer for a
Yep. Yeah. If you haven't gone out and done your adult enrollment in 4-H online and watched your videos and checked all that off, do that. Matter of fact, you could hop off of here and go do that while you've got the computer out. We do need our 4-H volunteers and shooting sports volunteers to be enrolled. That covers you from a liability perspective, and it covers us. So make sure if you haven't done that, you get that done. Well, I'm looking forward to working with you folks. I kind of told Steve that if he gives me two years to do this competitive, that we would show that shooting sports will become Indiana's biggest 4-H project. And I think we have a ton of kids in my county alone at the county high school shoots, and I've got 5 high schools that have my county kids in it. There's over 600 kids shooting mass. And I can get a percentage of them to have their own bows that want to come shoot 4-H and have another opportunity to go to another shoot. So there's a lot of opportunity. We're doing this not from the perspective of, hey, we got to have competition. We love competition. We're doing this to retain some of those older kids and something that maybe they have a team with their buddies and they just love doing this with them, and recruiting new members to 4-H and new volunteers to 4-H and to grow the program. So that's what we're about. The competition is just one vehicle to do that. Shooting trap and skeet and sporting clays isn't really any different of a vehicle than baking 6 cookies or making a model car in arts and crafts. They're all vehicles for us to show kids caring adults. I'll get emotional. Adults that care about young people and young people's lives and spend some time and give them quality time and teach them something. So this is what this is all about. It's not just about, hey, I got another chance to be a state winner or a state shooting sports winner. Yeah, I like that part of it. That's why I shot trap and skeet for Purdue. We went and shot in the Nate Nationals and did all that. It was fun. It was camaraderie. But this is just a vehicle that we reach another group of kids to teach them what 4-H is about and to show them what caring adult volunteers can do to your lives. And you guys are those adult volunteers. I told the county a couple of weeks ago, I said, the reason you're here and the reason you're a little bit upset at this group and you're doing that is because you have the right heart to begin with, or you'd have never been here to begin with. So thank you for the heart you have for our young people. Let's let this activity help grow the 4-H program and the volunteer force that we have in Indiana, and continue to make Indiana 4-H better and better. And as our model says, we get to work with the best kids. And if we can make those best kids a little better, you don't get any better than that. But thanks for your input. Thanks for your help. I know you're going to help and you're going to sign up. If you got any questions individually, reach out to me. If you got a pen,